Hey everybody, Rob Anderson, Clean Power Wash, Salisbury, Maryland. Just want to do another video just to help people with troubleshooting engine issues that you might have with your pressure washer. A lot of guys will see posts, and I've been guilty of myself. Hey, it's not starting, what do I do? Okay, well, we need to know some basic information, what kind of engine it is. What have you already tried? Was it making any noises beforehand? Is it making any noises now? Any other, how many hours are on the motor? Have you done a recent oil change? Have you checked the oil? All kinds of stuff. So a couple basic things. Obviously check the gas. If it's got the tank on top of it, that should be pretty clear. Make sure, look at it and see if there's anything that's blocking it potentially. That's very rare that would be the case. If you've got one of those marine tanks or a separate, tank for it, check and make sure that nothing is pinching the hose line. Make sure that the fuel filter, if you've got one that that it looks good, it's not all junked up and gunk and whatever in there. Sometimes you can also have a situation where, if you've recently run it dry, it just needs more time to prime the pump, or you could have air trapped in there. You can always take off part of that fuel line, basically pour it down a little bit, or aim the hose down so that it'll drain out a little bit of the gas. That way that sometimes you'll see the junk that was in there that was clogging it up. If it's been a while since you used it, the carburetor could be clogged. That's a very simple thing too. Just take the carburetor out, clean out the bowl, clean out the needle and everything in there. Make sure there's no other junk in there. And also you can, if you're going to have your machine sitting for a while, best thing to do is actually just shut the gas off, run it till it's run dry. That'll kill it at that point. And then just remember that you need to certainly turn on the fuel again. And it'll take it a couple pulls or a couple starts before it actually does that. If it's an electric start or key turn, a couple things that you're looking for there. First of all, if it's also a key start and a pull cord, try the pull cord. I actually had recently where the solenoid went out on me, so it would make a click noise, but it would not turn over. That actually ended up because one of the terminals was busted. Obviously the other thing to check with electric start is to make sure that your motor's good, which you won't hear a click or hear anything if the motor's completely dead. Check to make sure that the grounding wires are good. You don't have to take everything apart, but a lot of times with the wires and stuff, just kind of rotating it just a little bit will get it so that it gets that better connection. Don't over tighten the connections either. And certainly once you do, fix whatever the issue is, if there is corrosion and stuff on there, take some time, clean it off. I've made it a habit now to make sure that all those connections are wrapped up in electric tape, or you can also get liquid electric tape. I have not tried that yet, but I will be soon. And I know some guys that just rant and rave about it. Obviously spark, if it's making the starting noise, you're hearing a lot of noise there, and you click, 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 and you hear it kind of trying to rub to make that last bit to turn over, but it's not. You can check to see if you're having spark issues. Another, depending on how new you are and what kind of machine you've got, if you don't have a good pressure relief valve on it, or depending on the type of pump and stuff that you have, those ones don't release the pressure that well. And so if you were spraying and you turned off the motor for whatever reason and you haven't relieved the pressure in it, that's going to stop. So all you have to do is pull the trigger. And the way you can tell on those ones is that when you pull that ripcord, it's like impossible to move it no matter what you try and do. That's a situation where, again, just pull the trigger and that'll work just fine. Also, if you're doing through all this troubleshooting and stuff too, sometimes it's good to just go ahead and take the actual pressure hose off and then work on it. That way you're not running over to see if it's not pumping, or if it is pumping, or whatever else is going on. Certainly check the oil, make sure you've got oil in the and enough oil. If it gets too low, certainly some of the better model machines will actually prevent you from starting it. Can check and make sure if it's too hot, which would also go back to not having enough oil. General maintenance on a lot of these will solve and prevent a lot of this. If you don't already have an hour meter on yours, go on Amazon. You can buy them for like 10 to 12 bucks. You know, you just need a basic one, and then just set your equipment up on a maintenance schedule. Whether you're doing it every 50 or 100 hours or whatever, as long as you know, that makes it a lot easier to be able to say, well, hey, guys, I did an oil change last week. I changed the spark plugs, changed the oil filter. You know, everything looks great now. Or last time I changed the oil filter and oil, it was really, really black and had metal shavings in it or whatever. That's going to impact how we're going to address the issue, and also what we're going to do next. Maryland. And again, when you do post on Facebook that you're having issues, again, put all that extra information in there. You know, do you have spark? Is it making a noise? Is it not making a noise? Have you checked the power? What kind of wire? What kind of gas? You know, all those things need to be. Give us as much information as possible, so we're all not putting out 10 different possible ideas about what it could be, instead of eliminating a lot of the basic things. So, anyways, guys, Sorry, I just need to add this too. Depending on the motor you've got, also you could end up having, it could be a blown fuse, or also making sure that the air filter is not clogged or anything else there. If you've got I want to say it's a GX690, or some of the higher Kohlers and stuff and Vanguards, whatnot, some of them do actually have a fuse back there. If you do have one of those models, highly recommend go ahead and buy a kit of fuses, because the last thing you want to do is find out that something's going on out in the field and have to stop on a job to go get a piece, of fuses or a relay. You're talking a few cents to a few bucks, and it's going to cost you a whole lot more than to just go ahead and buy it, have the extras, just waiting if you need it. So just want to add